When my cousin asked if I could watch her house for a week, I didn't even hesitate. I was a broke college student, and the idea of spending a few days in a cozy, fully stocked suburban home sounded like a vacation. She and her husband were heading out of state, and all I had to do was feed their cat, bring in the mail, and make sure nothing caught fire. Easy enough. Their place was nice, a little two-story house at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. It had that polished but lived-in feel, the kind of house where you instantly feel safe. I settled in quickly, spending most of my time sprawled on the couch with Netflix playing in the background. The cat, a lazy gray tabby named Marshmallow, barely acknowledged me unless I was pouring food into her bowl. The first 2 days were uneventful, but on the third night, I noticed something odd. I had just climbed into bed, the house completely silent, except for the soft hum of the air conditioning. That's when I saw it, a thin line of light glowing beneath the door to the basement, faint but definitely there. At first, I figured I must have left the light on earlier without realizing it. Maybe when I was looking for cleaning supplies earlier that afternoon. Feeling a little embarrassed at my own forgetfulness, I grabbed my phone and headed downstairs. The basement door was at the far end of the hallway, near the laundry room. As I got closer, I noticed something weird. The air felt cooler there, like the basement was breathing cold into the hallway. I reached for the doorknob, but it was ice cold against my skin, sending a small jolt up my spine. Still, I told myself it was no big deal. I twisted the knob and swung the door open. Darkness. No light. I flicked the basement switch and the overhead bulbs blinked on, flooding the staircase in a sterile yellow glow. I scanned the top steps. Nothing out of place. I even walked down halfway, just to be sure. Storage boxes, an old treadmill, a dusty water heater, everything looked exactly as it should. Shrugging it off, I turned off the lights, closed the door, and headed back to bed. But the next night, it happened again, and the night after that. Only this time, when I stood at the top of the stairs and opened the door, the basement was already lit, not by the overhead bulbs, but by a small, dim lamp deep in the corner. A lamp I swear wasn't there before. I stared down at the glowing lamp, my heart thudding in my chest. It was a simple thing. A small metal desk lamp, the kind you'd find in a college dorm. Its weak yellow light barely pushed back the shadows pooling in the corners of the basement. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe my cousin's husband had left it down there, and I just hadn't noticed it before. Maybe they used it when they worked on projects or something. But deep down, something didn't feel right. I backed away, closing the basement door quietly and locking it, even though I knew that wouldn't make a difference if something weird was going on. I spent the rest of the night on the living room couch with all the lights on and Marshmallow curled tightly against my side, her ears twitching at every little sound. The next morning, I texted my cousin, trying to sound casual. "Hey, random question. Do you guys have a lamp in the basement?" Her reply came a few minutes later. "Nope. Why?" I stared at the screen for a long time, debating how much to tell her. In the end, I just said something vague about thinking I saw one, and she brushed it off with a laughing emoji. That night, I didn't even try to sleep upstairs. I camped out in the living room again, pretending to watch TV, but really just listening, straining my ears for any sound out of place. Around 1 a.m., just as I was starting to drift off, I heard it. A faint click, the sound of a light switch. I sat bolt upright, heart hammering. Slowly, I turned my head toward the hallway that led to the basement door. I couldn't see much from where I was, but I could just make out that thin, unnatural line of light glowing beneath the door again. Marshmallow hissed suddenly, low and sharp, and bolted from the couch, disappearing behind the kitchen island. That was enough for me. I grabbed my keys, my shoes, and my phone and practically sprinted out the front door. I didn't stop until I was standing across the street, panting in the chilly night air, staring back at the house. From the sidewalk, I could see it clearly. The small window at the side of the house, the one that looked into the basement, was lit up. And as I stood there, frozen, I thought I saw a shape, just for a second, pass in front of the window. Something was in that basement, and it wasn't supposed to be there. I stood frozen on the sidewalk, my mind racing through every possible explanation, none of them good. Was someone living down there without my cousin knowing? Had someone broken in? I fumbled with my phone and called 911, trying to keep my voice steady as I explained the situation. The dispatcher stayed on the line with me, asking me to describe the house, the lights, everything I saw. I kept glancing at the basement window, half expecting another shadow to pass by. But after that first glimpse, nothing moved again. Within 10 minutes, 2 patrol cars pulled up, lights flashing silently. I ran to meet them, explaining everything as fast as I could. The officers listened carefully, then one of them nodded and approached the house with his hand resting lightly on his holster. They knocked loudly, announcing themselves. When no one answered, they unlocked the door. Thankfully, I had left it open in my panic. I watched from across the street, my hand shaking as they disappeared inside. A few minutes later, I saw one of them heading down the hallway toward the basement. I held my breath. Then, the loud creak of the basement door opening. The officers disappeared from view. I could hear their muffled voices calling out warnings, a long pause, then footsteps, heavier, slower, coming back up the stairs. The officer came out alone, shaking his head as he crossed the street to talk to me. "There's no one down there," he said. "We checked every corner. Looks like just storage." I stared at him, feeling the ground tilt under my feet. "But I saw someone," I whispered. "In the lamp. It wasn't there before." He gave me a tired smile, the kind people use when they think you're just stressed out or imagining things. Basements are weird at night. Lights flicker, shadows play tricks on you. Happens all the time. He advised me to lock all doors and call again if anything else happened. Then they left, their cruisers disappearing into the dark. I didn't go back inside. I couldn't. I ended up calling a friend and crashing at her apartment for the night. The next day, during broad daylight, I forced myself to go back and grab my stuff. I didn't even want to be alone inside, so I brought my friend with me. Curious, and against my better judgment, we decided to check the basement one more time. We went down together. Everything was where it should be, except for one thing. That lamp, the one I had seen glowing dimly at night, was gone. Completely gone. No cord, no bulb, no dust ring where it would have sat, like it had never been there at all. I finished my house sitting, but I didn't sleep a single night after that. I couldn't shake the feeling that whatever had been in that basement was still watching me, waiting in the dark.